Okay, I'm going to be reading today again from the Urantia book, and this is really important, I feel, if my birds will stay quiet. I'm not going to give you too much background on this. This is in the Urantia book. It is, I believe, paper 130. Of the Urantia book, and the title of it, see if I can find it here. On the Way to Rome. So in the Bible, we know that there is a big gap of time that is not discussed about the life of Jesus, and there are other texts that actually talk about what he did and what he experienced during that time. I find it really interesting because when I'm going through the Urantia book, it is stated in there that we will discuss this as we are authorized, as we have approval to discuss it. So it's really interesting that a lot of these things have been kept secret. And I'm going to say for a reason, because Jesus even was very, very conservative about who he told where he had been and what he had been doing. I mean, according to the Urantia book, he even allowed his family to believe he was in Alexandria when he really wasn't. That's not what he was doing, but that's what they thought, and he just allowed them to believe it. And I wonder if that wasn't for those of us that we might question, what was he doing for, this span of time? And maybe to inspire us, to motivate us to dig deeper and to look further than just the Bible. So that's interesting. But what I'm going to tell you here is this is section 1, and it's called the section 1 title is At Joppa, Discourse on Jonah. And I'm just going to skip down to where this discourse begins. One day after the evening meal, Jesus and the young Philistine strolled down by the sea and Galilee, not knowing that this scribe of Damascus. So this was another way that Jesus was known. He was known as the scribe of Damascus during this time of his traveling. Was so well versed in the Hebrew traditions, pointed out to Jesus the ship landing from which it was reputed that Jonah had embarked on his ill-fated voyage to Tarshish. And when he had concluded his remarks, he asked Jesus this question: "But do you suppose the big fish really did swallow Jonah?" Jesus perceived that this young man's life had been tremendously influenced by this tradition, and that its contemplation had impressed upon him the folly of trying to run away from duty. Jesus, therefore, said nothing that would suddenly destroy the foundations of Gedaliah's present motivation for practical living. In answering this question, Jesus said, "My friend, we are all Jonahs, with lives to live in accordance with the will of God. And at all times, when we seek to escape the present duty of living by running away to far-off enticements, we thereby put ourselves in the immediate control of those influences which are not directed by the powers of truth and the forces of righteousness. The flight from duty is the sacrifice of truth. The escape from the service of light and life can only result in those distressing conflicts with the difficult wails of selfishness, which lead eventually to darkness and death, unless such God-forsaking Jonahs shall turn their hearts, even when in the very depths of despair, to seek after God and his goodness. And when such disheartened souls sincerely seek for God, hunger for truth, and thirst for righteousness, there is nothing that can hold them in further captivity. No matter into what great depths they may have fallen, when they seek the light with a whole heart, the Spirit of the Lord God of heaven will deliver them from their captivity. The evil circumstances of life will spew them out upon the dry land of fresh opportunities for renewed service and wiser living. And isn't that a really interesting explanation of the story of Jonah? In peace and love, may you be blessed.